Tonight will be an information session. You will learn about the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, as some people refer to it. In the press release that was published on Wednesday, May 19th, it stated that the city received $88.3 million to overcome the impact of COVID-19 on the city's economy, adding that this is the first installment. Each of these sessions is an opportunity to ask questions about the plan. The administration will also tell us how some of the money will be used to stabilize the city's finances due to the loss in revenue. This is also a great opportunity for you to share how you would like to see the money spent. We want to hear from you, hence the purpose of these meetings. Also, while watching this session, share it. We are talking about the City of Newark's finances. This is information that many people don't have an opportunity to hear about, and we are offering it to you. My name is Andrea Mason, and I serve as the Senior Manager of Newark People's Assembly. I will serve as the moderator for tonight's meeting. To stay informed with the happenings in the City of Newark, please sign up for Newark People's Assembly email by emailing us at newarkpeoplesassembly@ci.newark.nj.us. I am positive that the information shared tonight will be worthwhile. Like me, you probably want to know about the $88.3 million. So as I stated earlier, please share this meeting and plan to interact via the news feed or join the Zoom. The next and final meeting, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be tomorrow at noon with the same meeting options, tuning in via Zoom or Facebook. Thanks very much for tuning in. I now welcome Business Administrator Eric Pennington to the Zoom room and Facebook broadcast, and we will later be joined by Mayor Baraka.
I'm actually on now.
Oh, Mayor Baraka is on. So welcome, Mayor. Welcome, Business Administrator.
Thank you, Andre. Let me kick it off, turn it over to the mayor and see how he wants to start things off with respect to the ARP money that city has received. Mayor?
Well, yep. I know folks had a initial discussion the first time about what they thought money should be used for. We're going to continue that discussion. And primarily, given the regs and what our vision is, obviously, is to make sure that we stabilize the city's finances and kind of jumpstart the economy at the same time. And we believe that the best way to jumpstart the economy is put money directly in people's hands. The best way that we can to help them engage in the economy, to keep businesses open, to allow people to pay their rent, to expand broadband services in the city, particularly given the lack of access many families had during COVID, to create opportunity for affordable housing, to create jobs around that, and give people places to live and stay, to expand our homeless program, to make sure that we provide services and opportunity to the homeless community through building more of those community villages that we just built. We also are engaging in what we're calling the Safe Summer Initiative. All over the country, there's been a huge uptick in violence around young people. And we want to create a strategy. And we're lockstep with what's going on with other mayors around the country, adding more jobs for summer youth, creating a special niche for opportunity youth, the kids that have been disengaged in school and employment for some time, to bring them back into the fold or into the full period, to open up our schools to late evening throughout the city in specific areas, to allow kids to have programming, events, and sports in school, in the school buildings past regular hours, to create opportunities for young people throughout the city, to program our parks and, our rec centers, so that families will have places to go and things to do throughout this summer. And I think that is important for us to prepare kids to get back to school in the fall, to normalize, and reacculturate them to going back to school, to being a part of school activity. And we're going to invest some time and energy and money and making sure that we surround our kids, that we give them the love and the attention that they need so that they can go to school refreshed and help support families so they have opportunity to help their start. We need a guaranteed income. In Newark, we did 30 families. We obviously going to do 400. We're going to invest in that so that can happen as expeditiously as we can get it done. And if we have an opportunity to help those that have not received unemployment or to extend unemployment, we're going to do that as well. And these are just a small amount of things that we want to do to put money and resources in people's hands in order that they engage the economy and keep our economy going and growing. The city of Newark is missing parking tax money, missing payroll tax money, missing hotel tax money because people aren't traveling. They aren't doing the things that they normally do. And we want to invite them back and use this as an opportunity to, again, jumpstart our economy once more. There's a walking bridge that we have been engaged in. We're trying to
Mayor, your connection is a little unstable.
hundreds of millions of dollars worth of development in the downtown area, which is going to come as a result of the investment in that bridge. Hundreds of jobs, both temporary and permanent jobs, construction jobs and permanent jobs. And this is a necessary act for us to do and engage this economy, create jobs, create opportunity, create wealth for the residents of the city. I'll stop there and allow, for some questions or allow the BA to jump in if he thinks so.
Thank you, Mayor. No, the only thing I would want to say is just to expand on something the mayor said. He talked about the walking bridge, and he got cut off a little bit, that signal. And the mayor's referring to the bridge. It's essentially a high line that'll be coming from Mulberry Commons directly into Penn Station, which will spur economic growth in that area. So I think that the mayor's signal cut out on that. And when that bridge goes into the ground, that's going to spur development and economic growth and create jobs and opportunities for construction and permanent jobs as well. We have already identified, in fact, learned today, we got some guidance from the federal government that we can use some of the funds that we got for unemployment benefits for those Norkers who are waiting for unemployment benefits and for those who have run out of unemployment benefits. So we hope to expend several $1 million to assist those people with much needed support, financial support.
Thank you, Mr. Pennington. So I'm going to take a step back, and that's actually great news because that was one of the comments from the last meeting about helping out or providing some funding for those who are either unemployed or are lacking unemployment benefits. So just to sort of recap, the monies will be utilized to stabilize the city's finances due to the loss of revenue and to get monies into the hands of residents and small businesses that suffered during the pandemic. So from last week's meeting, the community input was basically, they asked if the funding could be used for community development corporations and CBOs, invest in North Green Works or green infrastructure, invest in rodent prevention, grant programs for entrepreneurs, developing a workforce program for the deaf, blind, differently abled community, hazard pay for city workers, and some of the examples were specifically code enforcement, custodial workers, and small businesses, and investing in DPW services regarding roads and trees. So we realized, that those were excellent comments and suggestions. Hopefully they were taken into consideration. And I have had a few people to already start commenting and received a few emails. So I'll go with the first, which was an email received from a resident. And hopefully while I'm reading it, I don't miss any of the Facebook comments. So the resident referenced what Miami, Florida is doing. covering 1 year of rent and utilities for struggling tenants. They are dedicating 90% of Miami's $14 million in funding received for COVID relief to this emergency rental assistance program. So each eligible family would be entitled to up to $24,000. So I'm not sure if we could provide that type of rent and utility program. I know that we are providing some programs to help, but that was a suggestion to follow in Miami's footsteps.
Well, we've already been doing that actually before the ARP money, and we have identified already $16 million that we're going to use specifically for rent, people who need to pay their rent. What that number looks like in terms of back rent, we have to figure out. We want to give as many people money as we can and help them get out of a situation. We know that when this moratorium is lifted, people are going to be in dire straits. So we have to figure out how to help as many people as we can, obviously. So we can go up to a certain number, but we need to make sure that we can help hundreds of people, and obviously the higher we go, the less people that we can help.
So there's also a question about helping at-risk or troubled teens. So I responded to the commenter that, hey, we need his suggestions, but the ultimate comment is that some of the money can be used for that population.
Well, we're already setting aside 100 jobs specifically for those kids in the summertime, specifically for kids. Which we have a list of 50 already that we acquired from the police department that we're going after specifically to try to redirect them through employment and other strategies with the help of Rutgers University and other institutions here, community-based organizations that do this type of work to target specifically 100 of these kids that are out here now.
And also more funding for reentry programs.
Well, we're also using the dollars to around DPW to continue the reentry program we've been doing. The city has had a reentry program since 2015, right? So that we put in place, and so we don't really we're adding to that. Let's just say that, right? We're using this to supplement what we've already been doing around reentry. So we don't have to create a brand new program. We're just going to fund what already exists.
So, Mayor, you just spoke about a program that's being implemented to help the at-risk, and I say that in quotes, students, or not students, but individuals over the summer. This comment is, how can we have these type of employment programs for students in school? Back when they were working, it was called Speedy.
Well, we do have Speedy. It's called Summer Youth Employment and Training. I'm glad we having this because people, we need to really find out what's going on in our town, right? There are thousands of kids that work every summer right now in Newark. Even during the pandemic, we let kids work virtually, thousands of kids, and we're going to employ 1,000 more. We have more than 3,000 kids. We'll have more than 3,000 kids working this summer in the city of Newark. During what was called Speedy then, it's called Summer Youth Employment and Training now. It's been in place. We're just hiring more kids and we're adding the opportunity youth to that. And Marcia, who is in charge of this program, Armstrong, has been figuring out how to extend it to annually for some of the young people that are in there. So it happens year round. So this is work that has been happening before we got this money. So we're using the money to expand again what already happens in the city now.
Appreciated. Another comment or question is, are there monies for Newark-based nonprofits to collaborate with organizations outside the city for those youth? They need to see outside the city as well.
Well, Rutgers University is putting together a program for these young people, along with other folks that have community-based organizations that are involved in this stuff, that are going to take these young people through the services that they need. This is a well thought out program created by the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. They know exactly what needs to happen. Rutgers University is going to help us Dr. Valle, urban policy, urban plan is going to help us with this program as well. So this is well thought out for our young people, and we cannot, obviously the money that we're using here is money that we want to invest in Newark with Newark organizations and Newark people and Newark folks to restart Newark's economy. We cannot begin to give money out to people who are outside of the city because it defeats the purpose of investing in our own economy. I mean, in a marginal way, if that's necessary, we could try to figure that out. But 99.9% of the funds have to be spent with Newark-based organizations, Newark businesses, Newark families, Newark children, and Newark enterprises.
So I'm going to move to some of the Zoom room questions. I see create a program in which locals can join to become business owners, property owners, and receive help, educational, financial, etc., like folks from out of town.
Well, they should just go to Invest Newark. I'm glad you're having this because there's so much misinformation, wrong information, no information out here. So I'm glad we're having this discussion. At investnewark.org, go there right now. You can go to Invest Newark. As a matter of fact, they put people through classes to help them bond. They stood up a fund for local organizations, local businesses, and entrepreneurs, so they could be a part of the lead service replacement line. They funded them money, right? They went through classes. So these things actually take place now outside of the ARP money. Before ARP money came, these programs exist. We need to engage ourselves in what is happening in the town, in City Hall. Go to investnewark.org. If you're a business person or you're an entrepreneur and you want to figure out how to create, own, develop a business, then that's what you should be doing. In fact, for an entire year before the pandemic, we held meetings, men's meetings, women's meetings, family meetings to prepare businesses and people to get contracts, to own property. All this stuff is already taking place, and it'll take place after the ARP money is gone.
So, Mayor, what should struggling residents do when the programs tell them because they aren't working, they don't qualify or they can't get any help?
Well, I don't know any program that says that unless you're looking for housing, and then there's programs even for those folks. There's shelter, there's all kind of other things for folks who have no income at all. If you need an income and employment, you should probably first go to Newark Works and figure out how you can get the training and opportunity to get a job. We've been having virtual sessions throughout this pandemic, and we're going to continue to do that until the state allows us to open up our unemployment, Newark Works office. But go to the city's website and find out how to get training, find out how to get employed, so you can, get a job. None of the money that we have that we invest in, there's no requirement for you to be employed in order for you to get this funding, right? As a matter of fact, we just got finished talking about how to give people money who are unemployed. So we're going to continue to do those things, and you just have to continue to be engaged.
So another suggestion is to add more people to Section 8 so they can do home ownership programs.
Well, we don't have control over Section 8, right? Section 8 is a federal program, folks. There's city government, county government, state government, and federal government. I know people believe the mayor has a button and he controls the whole world, but the federal government is in charge of Section 8, right? We partner with Housing Authority, with HUD, which is a federally run organization, to create opportunity for housing for those residents who live in public housing using their federal voucher. We have to partner with HUD in order to do that. We have to partner with NACA. I saw earlier today somebody said that this was nothing new. In fact, it is new. There's no place in the country that is turning Section 8 voucher holders into homeowners. Nowhere in the country is doing that. But guess what? Even if it was, we'd be glad to steal it and do it here in Newark as well. But if you need Section 8, 500 Broad Street, you have to go down there and fill out an application to get Section 8. and that is a federal list, not a city list.
So these questions and comments are truly rolling in. So this one comment is, how much housing do we need, especially when it truly is not for the average Newark resident? So, and I'm going to add a little to that before you answer it.
Yeah, that makes no
Is there
sense.
more opportunity to get housing for low income and for the homeless or those residents without addresses?
So when we started, let me just go over this again. Prayerfully, people are engaged. We're using some of the money to continue to build what we have built, right? Our uh, New Hope Village for residents without addresses. We've built one. We're going to build more. Um, we're standing up a new shelter for homeless residents. Now, that was before the ARP money that we're doing that, right? So we're going to use ARP money to expand the New Hope Village. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, why don't you just Google New Hope Village and you can see what Newark is doing, and help us out and making sure that happens. We have also put aside $20 million to put out an RFP for developers for gap financing and land acquisition, for them to develop housing for people who have 30% at the AMI. And that's families that make about $34,000 a year, right? So that is happening with this money. That is happening. Stay engaged, stay tuned, and pay attention to what's going on so that you can be a part of the solution.
Appreciate that answer. This one is specific. Will the South Ward Choice Project restart using the American Rescue Plan?
I'm not sure what exactly they mean by that, or what program that they have that they want. If they have a specific idea in mind, they should submit that in writing to the business administrator's office as an idea that they think we should use in the South Ward.
Okay, so good day. Although I feel like the efforts to support children and families is much needed, I wonder what could be made available for single people who have also been impacted by the pandemic. I was unemployed all of 2020 and ultimately accepted a position at almost $20,000 a year pay reduction. I would be grateful for help.
Well, we are obviously going to try to figure out how to expand unemployment benefits. If you have a job now and you need a better job, I would say the training that we already are providing in different areas, you should try to get some of that training in Newark Works. And if it's just you need a job, period, you need a better job, then Newark Works, you should try to go there as well. Online, Newark 2020 is still happening, trying to connect Newark residents to employment at our anchor institutions, whether it's the hospital, Prudential, Audible, all of these places that have joined in trying to hire Newark residents. We want to continue to connect qualified Newark residents to anchor institutions of the city.
So this next comment from Facebook hits me personally, the second part of it. The first part says, I know we invest a lot in the arts. Second part, but how can we invest into Newark News that is accessible to everybody in their preferred method of communication? And you know why that affects me, because I'm the communication mechanism or vehicle, and it's so hard to try to gauge, how to communicate with everybody, the masses.
I think that's really an awesome idea if we could figure out how to lay something out like that. I agree with that. I think there's not enough information outlets. We don't have local newspapers. We are almost under a stranglehold in the two kind of major .coms that put the news out the way they want to put out and cover what they want to cover and tell the story the way they want to tell the story. They interview the same people over and over and over again. They do not go in these communities and talk to families and get real stories. I think it's an awesome idea to figure out how to expand opportunity for media and communications and giving people outlets to tell their stories. If we can figure out how to do that, I'm down to listen and be a part of that.
Okay, Ms. Ruffin, you have been tasked with creating a plan. All right, so the next comment that I actually got via email is more opportunities for tree pruning, trimming, and tree removal. So that also was something that I mentioned, came from the last meeting.
Right.
There's a real need for these tree issues within the neighborhoods.
And that's really DPW, and we're overhauling DPW now, and we're going to put some money into that to make sure that we expand on these areas. Even using it as a public works project to get local businesses and local folks involved in helping us get this stuff done. There's a manpower issue. There's other kind of issues that we're going to work on, in the next couple of weeks to make sure that that is addressed. And tree removal, tree pruning, tree planting is all a part of that.
There's also a great suggestion about offering scholarships for middle income parents returning to schools.
That's not a bad idea. I think that we should take that under consideration as well. Maybe we could think about it. If somebody has something they want to write down, if you have these ideas, you should write them down and send them into my office or to the business administrator's office in some kind of discernible fashion and allow us the opportunity to think on it.
So the next one, I didn't pre-read it, so I'm going to read it as I'm reading it as I'm saying it. Is the city open to establishing a city-owned, resident-owned food co-op? The reason I ask is because food insecurity is a massive issue and the pantries are overwhelmed. At the same time, the cost of some staple items has increased and it's not possible for food aid to reach everyone who needs it. Perhaps a city-owned co-op could be a sustainable solution to provide high-quality, affordable food to all residents, including those who do not qualify for food stamps and other assistance.
That's also not a bad idea. We done passed out at least 7 million, 8 million meals since the start of this pandemic. So obviously people are food insecure, and we continue to pass it out and we keep going because people need it. And, I don't know if we could do this in perpetuity. So I think that's another idea that should be put on paper, sent to us, emailed, and let us begin to contemplate that, and then make yourself available to be a part of the brainstorming on it.
So there's a few comments just about people being grateful that we're going to have the Live North program to open up with offering more grant opportunity and more funding than was offered in the past.
Yep, it's necessary now more than ever for us to do that, and really it's another opportunity for us to put money in local people's hands, to get them working, to get you to fix your house, get people into homes, all of these things that we're trying to do.
So this comment says, I'm a Newark resident. I'm a new resident of Newark. Does assistance still apply to me? So it would be, if anybody is eligible as long as they're a Newark resident, correct, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was another comment about trees. And does it provide funding? Will this funding go for grassroots organizations?
Yeah, I think we can use it for any organization that's Newark based, right? We can use it for any organization that is working on the things that we're trying to create and develop. Organizations, we're going to use it for organizations around Safe Summer Initiative. So there are a lot of community-based organizations that are going to take a part of that. There are community-based organizations that are going to be a part of us doing a citywide cleaning and a project that we're doing, turn into a public works project. So we're using community-based organizations, community-based entrepreneurs, small businesses from the community that can fulfill the needs that we're trying to make happen here.
So what about offering a free program to assist homeowners with plumbing, electric, home repairs like an HGTV type? Homeowners who cannot afford the simple repairs, information boosts in the neighborhoods, employment, social and emotional programs, health, etc. Also offering vocational programs for all who want to learn skills that will allow small business opportunities.
So we already offer the vocational training. We don't have to do that. We already offer that. We offer it multiple ways in multiple places. Those already exist. What we can, I think you said something about what was the first part of that again?
Free program to assist homeowners with plumbing,
Right,
electric, home
right.
repairs.
So the home repair program is the facade improvement program. We're giving people up to $20,000 to fix the outside, the facade of their home. I don't know what the law allows us to do. We can figure that part out to allow you to do more stuff with the money. But we do give people money to fix their homes now, and we've just expanded it.
So Mayor, for the facade program, it's just exterior. So this program
Yes.
would be for interior. And I
Right.
think that when I read it, I also thought about educate the block. So can you tell the meeting attendees what educate the block is?
But I just left from up there on South 18th Street, South 20th Street, excuse me, and 18th Avenue. We did it in conjunction with Irvington this time. So we're all out there, information booths, vaccinations, Irvington and Newark Fire, police, code enforcement. Everybody's out there, water and sewer, job placement. Everybody's out there giving information to the community, and they set up right in the community on the block. We've actually been doing this for a number of years now, and it's been called Occupy the Block. We just changed the name to Educate the Block.
Thank you for that explanation. So that goes to this constituent's second part, having information booths in the neighborhood. So Educate the Block is something that's offered from the mayor's office every Wednesday and Thursday of each week. It's a different location every single day on that Wednesday and Thursday. And we're out there from 5 to 7 each of those days, offering a variety of resource tables. So I think it just sounds like many people just aren't aware of all of the offerings that the city of Newark has. Because a lot of this stuff, as you hear, is stuff that actually we offer and resources that are available to the residents. They just have to know about them in order to take advantage of them. So Ms. Taylor says, this is powerful information for the people. Got a lot of thanks. I would like to start my softball league in Newark again, but I need help with funds because everything is so costly. Can you help me? So is that something that the funding can be used for?
Well, I can't say we can help them right off the bat because I don't know what the softball program is, where he's located, what's going on. He needs to put some stuff on paper and try to come down and figure out how to have a meeting. And I would say first he needs to hook up with the Department of Recreation here in the city of Newark and figure out how he can be a part of some of the things that are already happening there. And if there's a need for us to use dollars to expand sports and recreation around that, we could talk about that as well.
So this question is specifically about Newark Housing Authority. I'm going to ask it, but then Mayor, can you just tell us the relationship that you have on governance of Newark Housing Authority versus Newark Public Schools? Because as you stated earlier, most people think that because you're the mayor, you just rule everything in the city of Newark. So this question, you want me to ask the question first, or you want to speak to that first?
Oh, go ahead, ask the question.
Okay. So is Newark Housing Authority planning on doing anything with the townhouses by West Side Park? If not, why don't they sell them to low-income people to buy?
Well, they actually are, but I want to start by saying Newark Housing, the only thing that we do in Newark Housing Authority is appoint commissioners. The Housing Authority is a operation of the federal government under Housing and Urban Development. It is not under the auspices of the city, neither is Newark Public Schools. I had to have this conversation last night with a few other people to let them know that we don't control the Housing Authority and we don't control Newark Public Schools. We get to appoint people to the Housing Authority board, and we try to help run people for office in a school board, but that's basically the extent of it. But the Housing Authority does have a plan and they've already are in negotiation on that property on West Side Village to develop senior housing and other. I believe something else there, but I believe it's senior housing that's going to go there. And
Thank you
that's
for taking
across
the
from West
time to
Side Park.
explain it. Will there be any property tax relief?
I don't believe we can use this money for property tax relief. The federal government will not allow us to do that, right? So we can only use the money on the city side for lost revenue. We can't
We lost you, Mayor.
or offset our expenses or help people pay their taxes. We can't use the money for that for those purposes.
Okay. The program you had last year, when I applied, I was told the county cut it off. Landlords are suffering. So I think that was talking about the rental assistance, perhaps?
Yeah, and we're going to do it. The county has rental assistance. They're going to be doing. The state is going to be doing rental assistance. The city has another $16 million we're going to add to rental assistance. There's going to be multiple rental assistance programs in this state, county, and city. You have to engage in that, you know, very aggressively. You have to engage in it and find out how to take care of the issues that you have around your rent.
Okay. Is there a way to encourage all press and radio based in Newark to cheerlead the great city of Newark and have them support local artists and musicians, making them accountable to lift the city's artists?
I wish we could make them do that. We have a hard time getting them to print anything. You know, they're going to do what they want to do. Newspapers are privately owned. These things are privately owned by individuals and they have their own agenda. That's simply what it is, right? We were trying to get them to talk about the first African American firemen. We had to wrestle with them to get them to do that. So that's why the last couple of questions ago when they asked us about the media and local opportunity, I'm all for that. I think, and there are a couple of, bloggers and other folks that are in the city that are doing a lot of work on their own. And if there's an opportunity that we can figure out how to support them to expand their work, I would love to do that.
All right, there's a couple questions about first-time home buyers programs. And what I will say, Mayor, is next Thursday, June 10th at 6:30, right here, Facebook Live. It'll also be a Zoom kind of webinar with information to be sent out through Newark People's Assembly. There will be the information session about the Live North program. So if anybody is interested in the $10,000 first-time home buyers down payment program or the $20,000 for the home facade, which is the outside repair program, as the mayor mentioned earlier, please tune in. That's going to be next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Flyers will be available actually as of tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And okay, vocational training for all people who desire education. We need Black and Latino plumbers, carpenters, electricians, auto mechanics, etc. The skills can lead to business. Train the young and the old. Mayor, we don't hear you.
I just did a program earlier today, with 3 young people from Barringer High School. One was doing carpentry. The other one was doing aerospace engineering. The other, the other one was doing media, right? So they vocational training exists in Newark. I wish people stop saying that because it's just not true. Our kids are exposed to vocational opportunities at the high schools. There's a whole high school, Donald Payne Tech, that is dedicated to vocational training. There are opportunities for adults for vocational training at Essex County College and at Donald Payne Tech. There's opportunities for vocational training. We can always use more, We can always expand and get more. And obviously, we need to get the more information out about them. But they exist in the city, and a lot of our kids are taking advantage of them. Right? We just need more of the adults in the community to begin taking advantage of some of this stuff.
How can we get the EMT program and CPR training in the schools that will prepare our seniors for immediate employment? And that's high school seniors, I'm assuming.
Right. That's a conversation. Once again, the Newark Public Schools, I mean, they should direct those questions to the school board and the superintendent at Newark Public Schools. I'm sure they'll be open to trying to figure out how to make that happen.
So even though we spoke about the Live North program for the forgivable loans for the 10,000 for down payment and 20,000 for home facade, this person is asking for forgivable loans for individuals to purchase commercial and industrial property with limited assets.
I mean, we can figure that out, but ultimately our goal is about home ownership, about supporting small businesses. At this point, we do have another fund that has nothing to do with this called the FAM Fund that we're raising $100 million around, and you should really engage yourself in what's going on with that. But that has nothing to do with the ARP money. These dollars we are really trying to put in the hands of residents of this city the best way we can in terms of rent, in terms of utilities, in terms of home ownership, all of those things that we can do to stimulate this economy. And we want to do it in a way where most people are, there's a dense number of people that are in that area. So there'll be more people that need to pay their rent than the people that want to get loans to have commercial property. There'll be more people that need to have unemployment paid than there'll be people that need money for commercial property. And this is how we have to make our decisions. There'll be more young people that need the money for jobs and employment and keeping them out of trouble than it is for people who need dollars to start their commercial business. So we're going to focus on the things where the majority of our people are at need and direct you to other opportunities that may be able to help you.
So I have a couple statements. Community gardens can help with creating and sustaining food security and provide employment. And then please consider using some of the 88.3 million on green infrastructure projects. The city is being proactive in training qualified individuals to be certified for doing this work.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, the last part of it.
Nope, because I clicked off of it.
Okay, all right. There was
No.
a lot I could.
Oh, yes, I
The
can.
last part, if you want, I can repeat it. It was about using some of the funds for green infrastructure projects.
Yep, saying that we're being proactive in the training for the green jobs. So we should use some of the money for the green infrastructure projects. The next one is, will some of that funding go toward the Seth Boyden location, including the school building that is no longer in use? And I'm just going to say Seth Boyden is Newark Housing Authority and the schools are Newark Public Schools. So the mayor just spoke about us not having, or him, because I don't have any jurisdiction over anything.
But it's, Andre, but it's also not necessary because the housing authority already has a strategy and a plan. There's development getting ready to happen there, and they're going to raise those buildings. They're going to knock those buildings down, prayerfully sometime this summer, and start with the development process that's going on there. So we don't have really anything to do with that, and we probably couldn't invest money in a private opportunity for somebody else to do that anyway.
Okay, and can the funding be used to create or fund STEM summer programs?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we already have STEM summer programs. We work with New Jersey Institute of Technology. They've been doing STEM summer programs for us for years before the pandemic, hit us. As we expand the jobs, prayerfully we'll expand more opportunity for more kids to be involved in those programs.
There are so many questions. My goodness. I think
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
have to
have to
let
move
Eric.
some of the questions to tomorrow.
Yeah,
Because I'm gonna limit this for another 10 minutes, but as you can see, people are totally engaged. Oh, is there a one-stop portal? And this has come up a couple times. Is there a one-stop portal where we can review the information, the programs, grant funding, development opportunities, and just showing how this money is planned on being spent?
there absolutely will be. I'll let Eric talk about that. I'm about to sign off. I got to jump onto another thing, but we will have full transparency, and we're hiring an outside agency to help us monitor the funds. But go ahead, BA. I apologize, everybody. I got to jump off.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate your time.
No problem.
Absolutely. Andrea, you are now on mute. There
My
you go.
apologies.
No
Can you
problem.
hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, Newark has a lot to offer or give, but what do you have for the working class that's struggling? It seems as if everything is for low and no income people.
Uh, Great question. As usual, so many of these questions are really timely. They're poignant, and they make perfectly good sense. This money, in a nutshell, can be used for anything that has been affected by COVID to a large extent, except for we can't give direct property tax relief. One of the things that we intend to do is put aside money for housing, which would include not just rental assistance, but an opportunity for middle class, middle income homeowners who are unable to pay their mortgages because of the pandemic to get some relief. So that's one of the things that we will do. I think that addresses that question specifically.
Yes, thank you. Will some of the funding be used to help Newark street vendors with professional merchant carts and uniformity?
There's small business assistance, and it's not limited to small vendor carts or not, but they certainly are included if they can demonstrate that they qualify for small business assistance because of an issue with COVID-19 pandemic. Then yes, they would be eligible for assistance.
Great, great, great. Um, Definitely getting compliments about the web portal being used for transparency and oversight. Let's see. Uh, what is the total amount of COVID stimulus funding that the city of Newark received from the CARES Act? And we know that it's the 88.3 million thus far for American Recovery Act. Nope. So now I'm confused. American Recovery Act is different than the American
Yes.
Rescue Plan?
Sure.
And that's different than the CARES Act?
Well, I think the question deals with the CARES Act funding that was allocated by the federal government through the county. And the city received approximately $16 million from the county of that funding. Through the American Rescue Plan Act, the city has a direct allocation of approximately $176 million. Of that $176 million, we already have in hand $88,333,803. Those are the funds that we're talking about expending right now in this tranche of funding. The second tranche we will get in May of 2022.
Understood. American Recovery Act is synonymous with the American Rescue Plan.
I'm not exactly sure how they're using it. I have in my mind is the CARES Act funding was the money that we received from the federal government through the county. And that was the 16 million approximately. The American Rescue Plan, if they mean the American CARES Act, or rather I forgot the term that you used, but the term that I know was the American Rescue Plan Act, and that's the $176 million that we have.
Okay.
Those are the two buckets. We also, though, I should say, as the mayor mentioned, there are several other funding sources that we have received. $16 million that we have for homelessness relief. We're using $20 million is going to be used to provide development funding for the development of housing at for people at 30% of the AMI. $10 million of that is going to come from the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act, and $10 million of that is going to come from home funds that we already have. So we have lots of buckets of money, and we're trying to use it as strategically as possible to maximize the amount of money that the mayor wants to get directly into the hands of the residents and local business owners.
So there are quite a few suggestions about vocational training and more educational opportunities, and installation of stormwater planters in and around Weequahic Park, Lake, and Meeker Avenue entrance. So that's more of a county, the county's jurisdiction, am I correct?
Well, Weequahic Park is part of the county's jurisdiction, but there are parts, areas of the city in the South Ward and elsewhere where we've had some flooding mitigation strategies, and we intend to use several $million, about $7 million of this money for water infrastructure and other infrastructure improvements. And I think that covers part of what this caller is talking about, but Weequahic Park is under the jurisdiction of the county.
Okay, I am going to read. Gosh, there's too many to read. Okay, an office to make support services information known to all, more transparency of program services, etc. I did not see any African American Heritage Day parade posters, blah, blah, blah. So now this constituent is talking about Newark People's Assembly, but I don't recognize the name, so I don't see her in our database. So if only she and everybody else who wants to stay connected to what's going on in the city emails Newark People's Assembly at ci.newark.nj.us. The information that I get from the city's agencies and departments, you will get as well. Let's see, streets are getting bigger potholes and lots of rats. Lots of infrastructure work going on, but Roseville and Holbert Street are a terrible, okay. So speaking about infrastructure work for paving and potholes.
Well, part of the very specific allocation and uses of the American Rescue Plan Act funds that the federal government has set out is for infrastructure improvements, specifically dealing with water and sewer, road construction and paving, and broadband expansion and broadband access to the residents. We do have a paving plan that is underway now, and our communications department sends out a weekly schedule of where the paving is going to take place. It should be on our website. I don't know if it went out this week, but it'll be out next week. But we do intend to use several $1 million from this fund to enhance the paving plan that we already have in place.
So BA, this really catches my eye. Creating our senior citizens and disabled are often told to access resources online, but many are not internet savvy. Many are not able to read. Please create walk-in centers where they can get help completing forms and fund existing walk-in centers, including Bridges Project Connect.
That sounds like a good idea. We'll have to take a look and see if the funds can be used for that. It didn't sound like it was specific to COVID or the pandemic, but still, you know, we have some flexibility with respect to how we use these funds, and it sounds like a good idea that we want to get information, as much information as possible, to every resident, irrespective of what their ability is.
Yes, I'm jotting down my notes as I'm reading. Sure. How do I find information on the homeownership program? And is it for everyone? Also, will everyone be offered the no down payment and low mortgage? I would love to own my own home. So that information session, if you are interested in the Live Newark program, it is on June 10th, which is next Thursday at 6:30, Facebook Live. So same place, same time as this meeting, but next Thursday. Feel free to email if you have any questions or you want any comments specifically shared during that meeting. in advance to Newark People's Assembly at ci.newark.nj.us. And I'm going to take two more questions, BA, before we close out with some final thoughts.
Sure.
Let's go to the Zoom room. Better monitoring of construction programs. This one specifically states a construction site, but I'll just say better monitoring of contractors. Workers dump buckets of human waste in, okay, this is very specific. Please just email those. If you have any complaints, you can email those also to Newark People's Assembly, please. Hopefully on the next webinar, I have a question about the Little Bricks location, which is Newark Housing Authority. My question, I wanted to know, did they have plans for the location? And if not, I had a suggestion if I can be directed to the proper person. Just a suggestion, which I think could benefit some college students and the community. Thanks for your time. So that is a Victor Cirillo question, unless, of course, BA, you're familiar with the housing complex that's on Muhammad Ali and Bergen Street.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the complex. I don't know what plans the Newark Housing Authority has for it at the moment, but your directive is correct, Andrea, that they should well, the executive director is Victor Cirillo, but they should contact the Newark Housing Authority with any requests for their properties. Okay,
and I'm gonna end the question comment section with this. We heard it at the very first forum, and now there's been several comments about helping those who are not below the poverty line and that don't have enough money to like just really be able to afford everything. So almost like the mid-income or the middle class. So if some of this funding could be used to assist those individuals, the homeowners with relief for either mortgage payments or just with fixing their homes and things of that nature.
I think they're great suggestions. We've already identified a fair amount of funds that are going to be used for rental assistance and mortgage assistance. In each of those instances, there has to be a demonstrated need and it has to be related to the pandemic. So it's pandemic relief. The American Rescue Plan Act is for businesses, homeowners, residents, renters who have been affected because of COVID-19. That's fairly expansive. So we think that if we use our minds collectively and get great suggestions from the people out there who are listening to this call now, we can figure out ways to use those funds. As the mayor stated at the very beginning, he wants to get as much of this money into the hands of Newark residents as possible. That's the plan. We want to get it into people's hands who need the relief, who need the assistance, middle class or otherwise. If you can demonstrate that you need that assistance, we want to get the money into your hands. And hopefully tomorrow, I had a thought that perhaps we can put together a COVID relief suggestion email box, and perhaps we can give that email address tomorrow so that we can get some of these really great suggestions that have come across today, have them written out a bit more. And then perhaps I think what we should also do, and I'll talk to the mayor about it, is creating a bit of an advisory panel, a community advisory panel, so they can help us vet what the community really wants to get into their hands. And I think those are all great ideas.
I appreciate that, specifically the community advisory panel, and then also having the email set up to take these suggestions. What I want to add is that because I didn't get to all of the comments and questions in the Zoom room and on Facebook, after this meeting is over, I will go back through the comments to jot down those things that we didn't discuss. And then in the report after the final meeting, everything will be mentioned.
Great.
So for you attendees who I didn't address your concern directly, please know that it was it wasn't anything personal, but it was a lot of information going really quickly up the news feed. But I'll definitely look back at the notes and take my own notes according to what you put in the chat. I want to take this time to just thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate, your diligence and just your love for our city, wanting to make it a place where we continue to live and have new neighbors come to join us to live in this great city. Thank, of course, the mayor for allowing this opportunity to share this information with you, the BA for his expertise and knowledge on how the money will be spent or the plans. And I also need to thank our communications team for just being behind the scenes to make sure that these meetings always take place, and our interpreters. I didn't mention it earlier, but we definitely have, if needed, interpretation services, French, Spanish, and Portuguese for each meeting. All you need to do is let us know, North People's Assembly know that you need these services, and we will provide it at any and every meeting that's held on Facebook by North People's Assembly's office. So again, have a great night. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.